All right, how's it going, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Darrell, also known as Coach D, and I am here to bring you a brand new episode on the World of Coaching podcast. Hopefully, you guys have enjoyed episode 1 and episode 2. If not, please check those out on our YouTube channel. And if you have, thank you so much for giving us a listen, and hopefully, you'll love the topic of episode number 3. So, episode number 3 is super important for me because oftentimes when it comes to coaching and mentorship, people struggle with asking for help. There's so many people that are silently struggling out there, right? They're thinking that asking for help is a sign of weakness, when in reality, one of the strongest and bravest things that you can do is ask for help. Ask for a coach or a mentor or a leader who can lead you in the right direction. So on this episode, we're going to talk about what happens when you stop pretending to have it all figured out. I've been there. And start using one of the most powerful tools, which is asking for help and being very specific about the help and what you're asking for. So we're going to talk about that today. Quick plug, real quick. I wanted to share a shirt that my son made for me. His name is Chase. He said, "Dad, I want to make you a shirt for your podcast." So he made me a Coach D World of Coaching podcast shirt. Hopefully you guys enjoy it and love it. But he's really getting into entrepreneurship, so I want to continue to support him and support his business. If you want to support, feel free to let us know. Send us a message. All right. So as we're talking about this tool, asking for help, right? We really want to point out two things here, and well, actually three things. One is ask for help is a skill a lot of leaders possess because they ultimately understand that they are not the one who knows and understands everything. So strong leaders understand that asking for that help and asking for specific help really gives them better answers to help them make better decisions. So when people don't follow what you're doing because they don't believe it's necessarily authentic, what they're finding is that you're not necessarily asking for help as understanding some of the things in which you want to do and that you're doing. And one thing that you really want to know is that raising your hand is not something that demeans you. It doesn't take you away from who you are. It doesn't separate you from being the strong individual or the courageous or the brave individual, the person who goes after their goals and dreams. But you have to realize that you're not going to be able to do every single thing you want to do perfectly without the help of others, because others are going to help shape and mold your ideas as well as shape and mold your ability to follow either the path that they've been on or to follow a similar path. So one of the examples that I want to give is when I was in high school, I had an opportunity to not only have a mentor based off of a relationship that I had with a teacher, and she saw me as a very potential driven kid, very passionate, somebody who's often a leader. And so she gave me an opportunity to connect with her husband. And this was a great individual in my life because he really showed me what the potential was as a man, as someone who came from a background, either one similar to me or somewhat similar to me. We had an understanding that if I sat down with him from time to time, whether it was sitting down, after I would help, babysit their son, we would have those conversations, or sometimes we would connect for lunch, and we would have those conversations, and it would help shape and mold the mentality in which I had, especially as a young individual and a young professional, on how to really elevate myself by asking for help and asking whether it was for help from him or asking for help from folks in which I saw in positions at companies that I was working at. And one of the things that I'll remind you is if you don't ask for help, you never know what you can get. And I believe I was 18 at the time. I was looking to purchase a vehicle, and my mentor, we were having a conversation, and I brought it up. I said, "Hey, I'm looking to get me a vehicle soon, and I'd love to. I'd love it if you could help me, with the down payment." And lo and behold, he helped me with that down payment. That was the only way I was going to get that vehicle outside of saving up the entire senior year to then try and afford that vehicle by prom. But ultimately, he helped me save up to get to that amount, get my vehicle, and be able to have transportation outside of riding the bus when I was in high school, senior in high school. So thank you for that, Chris. I really appreciate you pouring into me, investing in me early on in those years. So one of the things that I will continue to believe is that if you give a mentor your time and that time that you give to them, they'll pour into you and give you assignments. They'll give you objectives. They'll give you milestones to go after. And if you are serious about your craft and serious about the things that you want in your life, you will follow the path that has been set, and you'll have the discipline. You'll have the focus. You'll have the persistence, right? You'll persevere through those challenges and through those obstacles, but you have to get going, right? You have to take action. All right. Point number 2 is to understand that with asking for help, it helps you create a level of momentum. Okay. And it's a level of momentum, not necessarily dependency on anything else. As you keep going, you will realize that as I continue to ask for help and ask for help in a sense that keeps me from thinking that this is a weakness, it allows me to move faster into areas that I didn't think I could move in. You know, as you approach something you've never done before, whether you've never used AI, you've never used a microphone, you've never used a camera, you know, you'll find yourself, if you ask for help, you will close some of those gaps. You will find that people are willing to give you sound advice. They're also willing to give you some best practices and some pointers on how to get there, right? They're helping you get there with speed, with clarity, with confidence. And the bigger difference between relying on yourself and refining through the guidance of help is that you get the ability to be able to not only build relationship, but build a relationship with somebody that you feel comfortable asking for help. So it takes practice, just like everything else. But that practice helps you create a momentum that allows you to dive deeper into your ability to ask for help and get to your objective much faster. Now, let's talk about how help multiplies, not necessarily subtracts. And I'll give you some examples. So if you're asking for help on a campaign, in most cases, what happens is that campaign continues to build because people support the cause. If you ask for help at a church, you often believe that if you take the $1 that somebody puts in and you ask for someone else to help, you will multiply the funds based off of the individuals who then donate or at least give tithes and offering to that church. So this happens all the time. And if you really start to look at how it can multiply in your life, you'll start to see your ability to really dive into how you can drive better performance, but also better relationships by asking for help without really looking for permission. It's asking for help to give you insight into what you're going to experience. So our key takeaway from that and our coaching takeaway from that is every time you ask for help, you give yourself permission to do the same, right? And you do the same by actively asking for help to get to the path that you want to get to. So point number 3, and this is where we're going to wrap it up. When you are asking for help, you are really building an environment that allows you to feel comfortable being the person who not only asks for help, but continues to work on their goals and works on what they believe in and works on the person that they want to become and works on the business that they want to profit from. You're creating an environment. And so if you're a coach or a leader, or if you are a student or you are an athlete, you want to create a space where you feel safe asking for help. So whether that is a friend, whether that's a classmate, whether it's a coach, whether it's a counselor, whether it's a aunt, an uncle, a mom, or a dad, you want to find a space where you can build an environment where you feel safe asking for help. Because when we are doing this practice, we're essentially modeling our vulnerability, right? We're sharing where we get stuck and where we tend to find ourselves at a crossroad or a challenge that we can't typically get over. And we're seeking out support. So when we seek out the support, we're really normalizing how we want these individuals within our circle to help us in a team community and in a overall team environment. And that environment continues to support and blossom to who you want to become, who you have become, who you want to associate yourself with as you continue to develop and build out your community in this environment. And so one of the things that I always say is the biggest risk is the risk you take alone. But the other thing that we want to point out here is when you're asking for help, you're allowing others to take on what we call a shared risk. And that shared risk allows you to continue to take that step forward over and over again to feel comfortable and confident in getting to your goals and getting to what you want to achieve. So remember, when you have a strong environment, a strong foundation towards asking people for help, you're going to open some doors, right? And you're also going to close some doors because there are some individuals who will not help you. And that is totally fine. This is not about always asking for help and you getting help, but this is asking for help and getting that muscle and getting comfortable that there are some people and there are tons of people out here that are willing to help you and willing to help you grow into becoming the person that you want to become. The purpose for getting a coach and getting a mentor is that you're not comfortable with being the person who you are. You have dreams, you have goals, you are driven to get to the next level. That's totally fine. And it's totally fine to be who you are today. But at some point where you believe and you start to think, hey, there's more out there for me. There's an opportunity for me to grow. There's an opportunity for me to bless this world and give them an opportunity to see who I truly am. You will shape and mold your ability to see that person and accept that person when you sat down with a coach, you sat down with a mentor or a counselor or someone close, but create that environment. Create that environment to ask help. And once you get comfortable asking for help, you'll see that you're putting yourself in a position to be prosperous and also that potential to be successful. Hopefully this episode helps you. I hope with a lot that is in me that you will ask for help when you need it. My name is Coach D. I'll see you guys on the next episode.